Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Jai Shri Radha Madhava ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nasta Prayeshva Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyutamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Hare Krishna. So welcome to all the devotees to our discussion on the Srimad Bhagavatam this morning. So before we start discussing this verse, I'd like to share my honest confession with all of you here that now at the moment I feel like really nervous, somehow or other. This is not the first time that I'm giving class here, but I feel really nervous. Honestly, because I feel that I myself not at all qualified. And a few days ago when Rasamoi Prabhu asked me to give the class, I was kind of in a dilemma that should I or shouldn't I, you know. So I approached my spiritual master. I approached my spiritual master. I revealed about my situation. I just told him that, you know, I have a lot of shortcomings in my life. So, but he really encouraged me. You know, everybody must have some shortcoming in their lives. But just take shelter from the holy name. He told me to chant more rounds and take the opportunity as service to the Vaishnavas. And then when he mentioned that, I realized that most probably in all this time, whenever I sat here, so I take up this service not for the pleasure of devotees, but to feed my ego. You know what I'm saying? To feed my ego. So I also talked to Jivanath Prabhu, my Harinam in charge, about this. Of course, he always, and he has been, and he will always giving me the inspiration and encouragement to take up the service. And yeah, he just told me, just do it as a matter of service and as a matter of my own purification, you know. And anyhow, the discussion of the Srimad Bhagavatam is also always pleasing to our ear and purifying to our heart. Yeah, satam prasangam mama viryasam vido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana kataha. So the discussion of Krishna Katha amongst the devotees is pleasing to the ear and also purifying to the heart. And, you know, Tajosanad asva pavarga vartmani, and it's opened the path of liberation, you know. Sradharatir bhaktir anukramisyati. And it actually increases our faith, Sraddha, and our devotion to Krishna. So, yeah, at this moment, I really beg for your blessings to bless me so I have the right mood to speak on this topic today, on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 6, chapter entitled Puruṣaḥ Sukta Confirmed, text number 42. Ādyo vatāraḥ puruṣaḥ parasya kālaḥ svabhāvaḥ sad-asan-manaś dravyaṁ vikāro guṇa indriyāṇi virāṭ svarāṭ sthāsnu cariṣṇu bhūmnaḥ ādyo vatāraḥ puruṣaḥ parasya kālaḥ svabhāvaḥ sad-asan-manaś dravyaṁ vikāro guṇa indriyāṇi virāṭ svarāṭ sthāsnu cariṣṇu bhūmnaḥ. Please chant. Ādyo vatāraḥ puruṣaḥ parasya kālaḥ svabhāvaḥ sad-asan-manaś dravyaṁ vikāro guṇa indriyāṇi virāṭ svarāṭ sthāsnu cariṣṇu bhūmnaḥ. Ādyo vatāraḥ puruṣaḥ parasya kālaḥ svabhāvaḥ sad-asan-manaś dravyam vikāro guṇa indriyāṇi virāṭ svarāṭ sthāsnu cariṣṇu bhūmnaḥ. Ādyo vatāraḥ puruṣaḥ parasya kālaḥ svabhāvaḥ sad-asan-manaś dravyam vikāro guṇa indriyāṇi virāṭ svarāṭ sthāsnu cariṣṇu bhūmnaḥ. Mataji. Ādyo vatāraḥ puruṣaḥ parasya kālaḥ svabhāvaḥ sad-asan-manaś dravyam vikāro guṇa indriyāṇi virāṭ svarāṭ sthāsnu cariṣṇu bhūmnaḥ. Ādyaḥ, first, avatāraḥ, incarnation, puruṣaḥ, Kāraṇārṇavaśāyī Viṣṇu, parasya, of the Lord, kālaḥ, time, svabhāvaḥ, space, sat, result, asat, cause, manaḥ, mind, also, dravyam, elements, vikāraḥ, material ego, guṇaḥ, modes of nature, indriyāṇi, senses, virāṭ, the complete whole body, svarāṭ, Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, sthāsnu, immovable, cariṣṇu, movable, bhūmnaḥ of the Supreme Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Kāraṇārṇavaśāyī Viṣṇu is the first incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and He is the master of eternal time, space, cause and effects, mind, the elements, the material ego, the modes of nature, the senses, the universal form of the Lord, Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, and the sum total of all living beings, both moving and non-moving. Kindly repeat. Kāraṇārṇavaśāyī Viṣṇu is the first incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and He is the master of eternal time, space, cause and effect, mind, the elements, the material ego, the modes of nature, the senses, the universal form of the Lord, Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, and the sum total of all living beings, both moving and non-moving. Purport. That the material creation is not permanent has been discussed many times here and before. The material creation is but a temporary exhibition of the material energy of the Almighty God. This material manifestation is necessary to give a chance to the conditioned souls who are unwilling to associate with the Lord in the relationship of loving transcendental service. Such unwilling conditioned souls are not allowed to enter into the liberated life of spiritual existence because at heart they are not willing to serve. Instead, they want to enjoy themselves as imitation God. The living entities are constitutionally eternal servitors of the Lord, but some of them, because of misusing their independence, do not wish to serve. Therefore, they are allowed to enjoy the material nature, which is called maya, or illusion. It is called illusion because the living beings under the clutches of maya are not factually enjoyers, although they think that they are, being illusioned by maya. Such illusion living entities are given a chance at intervals to rectify their perverted mentality of becoming false masters of the material nature, and they are imparted lessons from the Vedas about their eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Vedaischa sarvair aham eva vidyaha. So the temporary creation of the material manifestation is an exhibition of the material energy of the Lord. And to manage the whole show, the Supreme Lord incarnates Himself as the Kāraṇārṇavaśāyī Viṣṇu, just as a magistrate is deputed by the government to manage affairs temporarily. This Kāraṇārṇavaśāyī Viṣṇu causes the manifestation of material creation by looking over His material energy, sa aiksata. In the first volume of this book, we have already discussed to some extent the explanation of the verse Jagrihe Paurusam Rupam, the duration of the illusory play of material creation is called a kalpa. And we have already discussed the creations taking place in kalpa after kalpa. By His incarnation and potential activities, the complete ingredients of creation, namely time, space, cause, result, mind, the gross and subtle elements, and their interactional modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and then the senses and their reservoir source, the gigantic universal form as the second incarnation Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, and all living beings, both moving and standing, which come out of the second incarnation, all became manifested. Ultimately, all these creative elements and the creation itself are but potential manifestation of the Supreme Lord. Nothing is independent of the control of the Supreme Being. This first incarnation in the material creation, namely Kāraṇārṇavaśāyī Viṣṇu, is the plenary part of the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, described in the Brahma Samhita 5.48 as follows: Yasyaikanishvasit kālamathavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanataha Vishnur mahansa iyayasya kala viseso govindamadi puruṣam tamaham bhajami. All the innumerable universes are maintained only during the breathing period of Mahavishnu, or Kāraṇārṇavaśāyī Viṣṇu, who is only a plenary part of Govinda, the original personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I will read again the translation. Kāraṇārṇavaśāyī Viṣṇu is the first incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and He is the master of the eternal time, space, cause and effects, mind, the elements, the material ego, the modes of nature, the senses, the universal form of the Lord, Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, and the sum total of all living beings, both moving and non-moving. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam panglunglam hayate girim. Yat kripa tamahang vande Sri Gurun dinataranam paramananda madhavam. Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram katanchana smriti yasmin duskaram sukaram bhavet. Vismrite viparitamsya Sri Chaitanya namamitam. Hare Krishna. So this verse is talking about Mahavishnu, or Kāraṇārṇavaśāyī Viṣṇu, or Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. So whenever we talk about the Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, we cannot separate the other two puruṣaḥ avatars, Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu and also the Kshirodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, because these three Vishnus are the puruṣaḥ incarnation of the Lord. Of course, it is mentioned here that Mahavishnu is the first incarnation of the Lord. But if we trace out again, we study carefully about the creation, so how it starts. So from Krishna, the first manifestation is Lord Balaram. And then from Lord Balaram, the first Chaturvyuha appear. And then from the Sankarsan of the first Chaturvyuha, the second Chaturvyuha appear. And then from the Sankarsan of the second Chaturvyuha, then the Mahavishnu appear, the first puruṣaḥ incarnation. Srila Prabhupada, toward the end of the purport, quoted the verse from the Brahma Samhita, where it is described that whenever Lord Mahavishnu breathes out, exiles. So he created millions of universes from the pores of his body. And then the second puruṣaḥ incarnation, namely the Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, entered into each universe. And we know that, just imagine if we close all these windows here, there's no air circulation. What happened? We will sweat. So Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu enter into each universe, and then there's no air circulation, he's sweating. And half of the universe is filled up with his sweat. But his sweat is not like our sweat. His sweat is milk. So he laid down on that milk. Yeah. And then the third puruṣaḥ incarnation, namely the Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, so he enters into each atoms, yeah, into every creation, into every living beings as the Paramatma. Of course, he has his own residence called the Svetadvip. Yeah. This may seem to be bewildering, that how he fixed in his abode, yet at the same time he just pervading everywhere. Srila Prabhupada used to give an analogy just like a sun. You know, we have one sun in this solar system that we have now. We have one sun. Here we are in Mayapur, in India, we see sun. And those people in another part of the world also see sun. And they are thinking that, oh, the sun is just right above my head. We also thinking the same thing. The sun is just right here. So the Lord is fixed in his abode, yet at the same time, using his unlimited potency, he can expand himself into many and enters into each universe. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4, yeah, where Krishna told us, Bhumirapo nalo vayo kamano budire vacha ahankara itiyame bhina prakriti rastada. So these 8 items that are mentioned by Lord Krishna are actually Lord Krishna's eternal material energy. Most of us think that this material nature is temporary, but actually it is not. It is eternal because it is Krishna's energy. It is the Bahiranga Shakti of the Lord. Krishna and his energy are non-different because he is absolute. But when even Srila Prabhupada mentioned here that the material creation is temporary creation, we have to understand that statement like this, you know. It is temporary because sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest. So in that sense, it is temporary. But the Mahat Tattva, the ingredients, is the energy of the Lord, and they are eternal in nature. Yeah? They are eternal in nature. There are 5 tattvas discussed in the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah? Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. Amongst the 5, the first 4 is eternal. Only Karma is not eternal. So Prakriti, the material creation, Prakriti is also eternal, but sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest. But the pradhan, or the original ingredients of the creation, is eternal. And in the purport to that verse, 7.4 Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada explained that, yes, there are these 3 Vishnus. You know, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. If a person understands these 3 Vishnus, they will be liberated from the material entanglement. Is that so easy? Is that so easy? No. What does it mean? You know? So Srila Prabhupada mentioned if we know these 3 Vishnus will be liberated from the material entanglement. But to know these 3 Vishnus, meaning that we have to trace out where they are coming from. You know, first of all, we trace out about ourselves, why we are here. Well, we are being put here, as Srila Prabhupada nicely explained, we are here because of our rebellious nature. We want to become God. We want to become God. We want to enjoy. We want to control, as how Krishna does. But we cannot exhibit that tendency in the spiritual world, therefore we are put here. So, why we are here, we have to understand, and then here is the creation, you know, Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, and then Kāraṇārṇavaśāyī Viṣṇu, and they come from this Chaturvyuha, after Chaturvyuha, and finally after Krishna. So what does it mean? We have to understand our sambandha with Krishna. We are here basically because we are forgetting our real identity as the servitor of God. Just like Srila Prabhupada explained, just like a child, disturbing his mother in the kitchen while cooking. So the mother would make another arrangement of toy, like with toy pot, with toy stoves, spoons and so on, toy vegetables, and put the child in some corner and to play with that as if he or she really cooked. Otherwise, he or she will disturb the mother while doing the real cooking. So that's our situation right now. We want to become God? Yes, you are here. You want to become enjoyer? Yes, we are here. We want to control? Yes, we are here. Yeah, so we have to understand our sambandha, our relationship with Krishna. Yeah, and then understanding sambandha will lead us to understand our abhideya, what is the process, bhakti is the process, and then prayojan, our goal. Yeah. So, yes, these are actually the main reasons why we are here. Even in the 7th chapter, 7.27, Krishna explained, Icha dvesa samutena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani samoha sarge yanti parantapa. Yanti means we are going, we are destined. Here we are destined to the material world because of these two things, Icha and dvesa. Icha means material desire. What is material desire? Material desire means desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. As simple as that. Dvesa means envy. Why only Krishna is God? That is our envious nature, Why only He is the controller? Why only He is the enjoyer? I also want. And then it is described that when the living being cast for the first time to the material creation, he immediately occupied the pose of Lord Brahma. So every single of us here have been at one point became Brahma. And whoever in the material creation will be always influenced by the modes of nature. We see the pastime in the life of Lord Brahma, how he was carried away by lusty desire upon seeing the beauty of his own daughter. His own daughter. He ran after his own daughter. Great personality. But of course, whenever we see these pastimes of how great personalities sometimes seemingly bewildered by the energy of the Lord, we have to understand that it's just part of their leelas actually, to teach us the conditioned living entity. Even a great personality can sometimes influenced by the modes of material nature. We see also the pastime of Lord Shiva. Let's say, for example, Lord Shiva, upon hearing the description of Mohini Murti, and he approached Lord Vishnu, that, oh my Lord, I have been hearing about this wonderful incarnation of yours, the Mohini Murti. Can you kindly show me that form? And Lord Vishnu said, no, this is very dangerous. I'm not going to do that. And Lord Shiva said, just in a glance. I'm just curious. Because seeing is believing. Because seeing is believing. So we heard so many things, but sometimes unless we see, we don't have the real conviction about something. So Lord Shiva said, just in a glance. And Lord Vishnu said, all right. And he just disappeared. Lord Vishnu just disappeared. And Lord Shiva thought, why he disappeared? And he looked around and he saw a very beautiful young lady just in the bushes of a beautiful forest, playing on a ball. Anyway, not going to describe all this stuff. So Lord Shiva became so lusty, he forgot that he was embracing Parvati on his lap. He just gave up his wife and ran after Mohini Murti. And know what? He discharged semen. What can be more embarrassing than this? But again, great personalities, Mahajans, Brahma, Shiva, Mahajans. When we see this kind of pastime, we should not be judgmental, really. Unless we are pure in our heart, we immediately think, oh, what a nonsense, But here's the lesson, whoever in the material world will be attacked by Maya, because Mama Maya Duratya, it's Krishna's energy, very difficult to overcome. Unless Mam Evaye Prapadyante, unless we really surrender to Krishna, there is no loophole of getting away from Maya. But what happened to these personalities such as Brahma and Shiva, although they are sometimes being bewildered in their leelas, of course, they immediately come back to their right senses and continue with the service. That's how they are great, actually. That's how they are great. Prabhupada explained, just like a small baby learn how to walk. That's our situation at the moment. We may fall time and time again, but we have to get up and strive, and strive again to continue our service. As I mentioned in the beginning, that I have a lot of shortcomings in life. But here is the beauty when we are in the association of devotees. Guhyamakyati prichati. We can reveal ourselves. Oh, I have done such and such thing. Please, how should I react now? What should I do? And they, as seniors, you approach them as senior, you surrender to them, they will give solution. Yeah, they will encourage you to continue your devotional service. We are all here because we are lusty, for sure. There's no denial about that. We are all here because we are lusty. We want to enjoy separately from Krishna. For sure, guaranteed, 100%. And we all being victim of Maya time and time again. Srila Prabhupada explained in his purport that one of the purposes of material creation is to rectify ourselves. How? Through the agency of Maya. Maya will kick us in every step to purify us, to make us understand that, yes, this is not our real place. No matter how much we try to enjoy, still there is no tangible happiness in this material world. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada gave a very beautiful analogy, just like a baby deer in a desert chasing after a mirage. Mirage? I don't know, here we don't have desert. I mean, it's almost like a desert. But if you see in the main road, in Bhaktisiddhanta road, it's summer now. Luckily, yesterday a bit cool somehow or other. But if you see when it's really hot, in a far distance, you will see there is reflection of water. That is called mirage. But there is no water at all. So this baby deer in the desert, chasing after the mirage, hoping that he will get the water and drink the water. He ran and ran and ran miles after miles. And when he reached the spot, there is no water. But he see in another place, there is water. And he keep running toward another place. And same scenario, there is no water. So that is our hope of enjoyment in the material world. Yeah? We've been trying to be happy in a materialistic way. But there is no happiness, really. There is no happiness. Yeah? Sometimes, even after becoming a devotee, we still have this demoniac tendency. Yeah? Srila Rishabhadev, in the 5th canto, in the 5th chapter, explained very nicely to his sons. Yeah? Nunam pramata kurute vikarma yadindriya pritaya aprinoti nasadu manye yata atmano yan asanapi klesada asadeha. Klesa, meaning miseries. So sense gratification will lead us into miseries. Nunam pramata, when we become too engrossed and trying to fulfill our material desire, we become mad, pramata. We become mad. We are losing our senses. We become crazy. We don't know what is right, what is wrong. When your heart is filled up with material desire, you don't know what is right, what is wrong. And we may dress as devotees, but we have this heart like demon. Pravritim cha nevritim cha janana vidurāśuraha satyam napi cha charo natesu satya vidyate. Krishna explained in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. Pravritim cha nevritim cha janana vidurāśuraha. The demons, they don't know what should be done and what should not be done. Because their heart, their mind is filled up with material desire, with lust. So they don't know. We may also experience that. Or maybe just myself, dressed as devotees, but having the demoniac tendency. Na saucham, they don't keep cleanliness. Na saucham, na pichacharo, they don't behave properly. Na satyam, they are not honest. This is demoniac. And then the next thinking will be asatyam apratistante jaganahur anishwaram aparaspara sambhuta kim anya kama haitukam. The demon would think that there is no controller, there is no God here. Asatyam apratistanti jagan ahur anishwaram. Anishwaram. There is no controller in this world apart from me. Yeah. Aparaspara sambhuta kim anya kama haitukam. The only thing that they know is only kama, only lust, only their material desire. And then when their heart filled up with material desire, the next thing what happened? Etam drishtam avastabhya nastat manualpa buddhayaha prabhavanti ugrakarmanam ksayaya jagato hitaha. So, etam drishtam avastabhya nastat mano alpa buddhayaha. First of all, nasta atmana means they have lost themselves. Completely lost, And then abhuddhayaha, with this small intelligence, prabhavanti ugra karmana. They just simply performing devastating work, ugra karma, and ksayaya jagato hitaha, and just destroying the world. And Srila Prabhupada, in that purport, 16.9, you can have a look to that, Bhagavad Gita, 16.9, explain that the materialistic people, the demoniac people, will always try to enjoy to the utmost limit. And as a result, they just do the ugra karma. They try to invent so many things to gratify their senses. And they call it, this is human civilization. Yeah? We see how is our modern civilization. It's just a killing civilization. Yeah. We may think that, oh, this gadget, that gadget will improve my life, will give me comfort. Does it really? Maybe yes, for some times. And then you will realize something else. Always the demons try to invent new thing. Let's say like iPhone. From 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now what is the latest edition of iPhone? 14. I was thinking up to few seconds ago, just 12. You know better than me. When a person carries this iPhone with the 3 cameras, he feels his life is really good. Really. Look, my iPhone with the 3 cameras, my phone is better than yours. Is that what we call improvement in life? The same function from the first iPhone up to the 14th one, Same thing, you can Google, you can get access to internet, you can take picture. Yeah? This is the way how we think. Yeah? Because we become mad, we are being illusioned. Yeah? We are being illusioned. And therefore, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned that Krishna is so kind that he incarnates himself to give us the transcendental knowledge time and time again, Vedaisa sarvair aham eva vidyo, to help us to get rid of this illusion, to get rid of Maya, So of course, I'm still remembering the word of my spiritual master, that just take shelter of the holy name, chant more rounds, and continue the service, because service will purify us. So also chanting will definitely purify us. I remember yesterday His Holiness Indrajumna Maharaj beautifully mentioned that we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right? But when somebody asks us to do service, if we deny that service, that means we are chanting not in the right mood. Because when we chant the holy name, we are asking the energy of the Lord to engage us in the service of the Lord. So both chanting and service are so purifying. So take shelter of the holy name, continue your service in the genuine mood, of course. As I mentioned earlier, that all this time I just realized that I'm just feeding my ego. I'm just feeding my ego. I'm sitting here without qualification just to, feed my ego, thinking that I'm great devotee. But sometimes Krishna sends you some misfortunate situation in your life and just crash down that ego. And you will come back to your senses and you will realize that, oh yeah, I'm the worst one amongst all these devotees. Was that happen in your life, or it just me? Or it just me? Hopefully it just me, Because we have this thing, we have this thought, thank you Mataji, we have this thought that, life is so good. I come to Mangalarati every day. I chant my rounds so nicely. I'm better than others. I'm doing the Harinam every single day, leading Kirtan. People just in ecstasy in the Kirtan. What a great job I have done for this movement. And Krishna just send you some misfortunate situation and you just like, oh, my goodness, what's going on here? Yeah. Really, that sometimes happen. But the thing is that just keep holding on the Vaishnava's mercy, on the holy name. We learn how Ajamil, he was struggling as a young Brahmana. He was so struggling, with his mind, his senses upon seeing the Sudrani embracing with the Sudra. He tried to recollect all the sastric evidence, Balawan Indriya Gramo Vidwam Samapikar Sati. No, it should not be done. But finally what? He fell down. But luckily he named his son, the youngest son, Narayan. So the 6th canto, the 2nd chapter explained, Sanketam parihasam vastavam hilanamaivava vaikunta nama grahana asesagaharam viduhu. So the chanting of the holy name is so powerful that even we chant Helana, means neglectfully. One of the offenses to the holy name is not paying attention. Neglectfully, meaning not paying attention. Even if we chant neglectfully, even we chant jokingly, even we chant just to address someone else, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Can we just, I feel a little bit hot. Chanting the holy name of the Lord, addressing somebody else, not the Lord himself. Still, ashesaga haram viduhu. It will cleanse us from the dirt of sinful reaction since millions and millions lifetimes. That is the power of the holy names. But we should not take granted to this kind of slokas, to commit sinful activities. Yeah. Namno balad yasya papai buddhi. This should not be done, committing sinful activities on the strength of the holy names. So, take shelter of the holy names, take shelter of services, and most importantly, take shelter of the Vaishnavas. My experience, whenever you have some shortcoming in your life, just immediately reveal to the senior Vaishnava, of course, in a confidential way. Guhyama Khyati Prichati, Rupa Goswami taught us in the Upadeshamrita. So in that way, actually, they will give us some solution. Because Vaishnavas are so merciful. Rupa Goswami explained that the Sadhu Sangha, the Vaishnavas association, is just like fans around our bhakti creeper to protect the bhakti creeper of being hampered by animals. Yeah. Kirata hunandra pulinda pulkasa abira sumba yavana kasada yaha yene cha papa tadapasrayasrayaha Sudhyant tasmai prabhavisnave navaha. This is the beauty of Vaishnava association. No matter how sinful we are, Sudhyanti tasmai prabhavisnave namaha. If we just take shelter genuinely to the Vaishnavas, to the senior devotees, to the gurus, to Srila Prabhupada, we have the hope of being purified. Sudhyanti, we are being purified. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So I will just read the translation once again, and we have like 5 minutes before Darshan Arati. Translation. Kāraṇārṇavaśāyī Viṣṇu is the first incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and He is the master of eternal time, space, cause and effects, mind, the elements, the material ego, the modes of nature, the senses, the universal form of the Lord, Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, and the sum total of all living beings, both moving and non-moving. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Vishnurat Prabhu. Thank you very much for a wonderful lecture. You said that when living entity falls from spiritual world to material world, first position that he gets is Lord Brahma's position. So could you please explain how it is happening that a living being falls down to the lowest form of life? Because we know that Lord Brahma has the highest form of material intelligence, and his body consists of
only
pure intelligence.
Yes.
So how could it happen that with such strong intelligent living being falls down?
Thank you. Very nice question. Again, you know, Balavan Indriya Gramo Vidvam Samapikarsati. Vidva means a person who is very, very intelligent. A person who have mastered all the scriptures. This is called Vidwan. And how a Vidwan can fall down? Because, however, Lord Brahma is also a jiva. You shouldn't forget this. Lord Brahma is also a jiva. So a jiva will always get afflicted by the influence of the modes of material nature. You know? But, of course, Brahma being the greatest personality in the material creation, he is the Mahajan. Yeah, he is a pure devotee of the Lord. But how the living entities can degrade down to the lowest form of, you know, life? Well, that's happened because of the influence of the material modes of nature. Slowly you are degrading, you know, from Brahma, and then you may degrade to Indra, and then you may degrade, you know, from Indra to Indra Gopa. Indra means the king of heaven. Indra Gopa means just a small insect. So that's happened because we are just a tiny jiva. You know, if we forget that we are here meant to serve the Lord, that's how we are degrading. But of course, the story of Lord Brahma should not be taken cheaply. But yes, it is described that when first time the living being falls down to the material creation, the first pose he occupies is Brahma, because he wants to have the position of being a controller. So Brahma, up to great extent in this material world, is a great controller. He is the one who done the secondary creation. But even then also, he still can be afflicted by the modes of material nature and slowly degrading to the lower form. Although you are rightly mentioning that Lord Brahma is, his bodily constitution is made only out of pure intelligence. Now how is that pure intelligence becomes unpure? Karanam guna sangasya sad-asan janmasu. Don't forget this verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Puruṣaḥ prakriti stohi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangasya sad-asan janmasu. We are thinking that we are the puruṣaḥ, we are the enjoyer, but actually Krishna is the puruṣaḥ. Puruṣaḥ prakriti stohi bhungte prakriti. And we want to enjoy this material nature. So there is always possibility, even while being Brahma, being Lord Brahma, we have the tendency of enjoying the material nature. Otherwise, why we are here? And then Karanam Guna Sangasya. Here's the thing. Brahma is one of the Guna avatars, right? Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and Brahma. And each these personalities is the in charge of particular mode. Vishnu is the in charge of Sattva Gun. Brahma the in charge of Rajogun, because he creates. Unless there is passion, creation will not happen. And then Shiva, the modes of ignorance, destroying. You destroy something, you know. Like, for example, somebody hold your cell phone and then just drop it down and break it up. You may say, oh, you stupid, why? You broke my phone. So I'm not saying Lord Shiva is being stupid, but he is the in charge of that nature of Tamogun. So Lord Brahma is the in charge of Rajogun. So naturally, he's associating with that particular nature. Yeah? If you are in charge of something, you must associate with that thing. You cannot be just aloof, 100% aloof, no. You know? You must, up to some extent, associating. So that's how it is. Karanam guna sangha. Due to the association of the particular material nature. Sad-asan janmasu. So we born into human species, demigod species, demon species, worm in the stool species, because of the material nature. And Maya is so strong. Mama Maya Duratyaya. And this material nature is Krishna's energy. Don't mess with her. We are just small jiva. Thank you so much. Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura